What's up, you beautiful collectors and Transformer fans? Once again, it's the one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, thanks to the absolutely incredible support of the folks at Hasbro, we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Studio Series Voyager Class IRONHIDE, as he appeared in the 1986 film Transformers the Movie. Now, recently, we've actually gotten a fair amount of IRONHIDE figures, and each one has subsequently gotten closer to how he looked in the original G1 cartoon. The first one recently was the Siege version, which was more of a Cybertronian look for him, but still had elements of how he would eventually look on Earth, which then came to the Earthrise version of him, which again took it a little bit further and got him even closer to that G1 look. But now, utilizing the Studio Series line here, hopefully we have an even closer representation. For the package, much like all the Studio Series figures, you do have this nice Transformers text with the Generation logo right here at the top. You can see, obviously, Transformers, the movie logo right there. Of course, you got the open... Yeah, you know how you feel about that. Got this gorgeous art of IRONHIDE looking absolutely incredible right there in the front. Same type of thing here on the side, but it's more up close towards his face, and you can see Voyager Class, which is definitely interesting because all those other ones I mentioned were all deluxe class figures. So I'm curious about that. Other side here has a more pulled back image kind of what you see here, but you get more of his lower body. Of course, you got the 86 logo. Come around to the back of the package. You can see that he transforms in 26 steps. And of course, you got images of him in his robot and his vehicle mode. And as with all these Studio Series figures, he does come with a backdrop, which looks like it's on the Ark, which, spoiler alert, is the scene of his death. But for the packaging on this guy, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have the new Studio Series IRONHIDE opened up and out of its packaging. And yes, he does come with a very iconic backdrop, that being the scene of the death of multiple Autobots, including himself. I don't know if we've gotten this before, to be totally honest, but it does look nice. I think I did accidentally refer to this as the Ark, and while it's a shuttle that's kind of similar to the Ark, it obviously wasn't because this was much later after the Ark crashed onto Earth. But you do get that very nice display stand. And then coming in to take a closer look at the figure, this is a great figure. Is he perfect? No. There's a couple things that I will touch on, but in general, really very well done. As you can see, weapon storage can be here at the top, which is a little bit awkward because they just peg on here. But in my opinion, going back and rewatching the scene where he died, these were not the guns that he used. These actually more resemble the guns that Ratchet used, which makes me think that, and it makes sense, that at some point in time, we will get a repaint of this guy to give us Ratchet. And when that happens, obviously these will be the guns that'll come with them, and it makes sense. But the gun that IRONHIDE used really didn't look like these, so I don't know if I'm going to use them so much as I'll probably just use the one that came with Earthrise. I just think that that's kind of a cooler look for him. But one of the parts that people kind of talk about with this in terms of complaining about it is that he's a Voyager figure, whereas the previous versions were all deluxes. But what this does that the other ones do not do is this includes the roof in the transformation, whereas the other one, it just removed, which makes it a whole lot easier to engineer those ones. This guy has a lot more engineering in him, and in my opinion, is a far superior representation of IRONHIDE. Now, in terms of some of the bits that I don't particularly like, I feel like I can't ever get this to be completely closed off. It's kind of weird, and it creates a situation where this isn't flush. That's a little bit nitpicky because it can still actually kind of close, but it does create that little gap right there, which is a little bit ugly. And then you do have these little hinge points on here, which I'm not necessarily opposed to, but what that does is it makes it so that that yellow stripe, which is animation accurate, can't be on here because it's going to go through here. You see that this little hinge right here would have to be painted, so it would have to go through there and then come over here and be painted on that to continue on. Does that bother me? No, not really. But Obviously, you know, a Studio Series figure is meant to replicate how he looked in the film, and he did have that yellow stripe, so it's worth noting, I guess. But you can see gorgeous blue windows in there, a lot of nice silver paint, like with the hubcaps here, the front grille section, gorgeous little Autobot logo there in the little itty bitty front. Then you come around to the back and you can see that the bumper is also painted silver. So I mean, in general, a really solid look for this guy. Now, for comparison, here is that Earthrise version, and you can see that this brings in a lot of people's concerns as well, that the deluxe one is a little bit bigger. As you can see, it's slightly taller, but also is a little bit longer, and that's definitely the case in robot mode as well. But again, like I said, they removed the shield entirely, and they engineered it in a way where, well, I should say the roof, but also the shield. That's all incorporated to the figure, whereas this one's a parts former. And then obviously you have his very ugly feet that just hang out here, whereas this, these are his feet, but you can see that those are incorporated a whole lot better. So despite the fact that this is a deluxe figure, the engineering on this really does warrant that Voyager price point, I think. It's just extremely well done. Now, to transform him, going into his vehicle mode is definitely more tricky because a lot of this stuff has to kind of line up and tab in properly. I'll do my best to kind of show you how to do it, but going into the robot mode, it's pretty simple. First, we're going to take this, kind of pull this away from the body, just kind of lift that up, just like that. Take these little side pieces, you want to tuck those in, and then you fold this down. Then you can separate these, and these will hinge down and create his feet. Take these little flaps, fold those down as well. Come around to this top section. This is a little bit tricky to do, but you got to kind of separate this. Just kind of pull that away, just like that. And then you could pull that entire front section forward. From here, you can take these little side pieces, fold those out, just like that. Come around here to the bottom. You want to swivel this all the way around. And then as you bring it around, you can bring that around as well. And then bring that in. So again, on this side, separate that. Bring this around. This is going to tuck in, and then this squeezes in and tabs in there nice and securely. Then you can separate the legs. Come down here to these arms. You want to straighten that up. Before you do that, you want to take this whole section, kind of hinge this back, and kind of go back as far as you can, because it does get a little bit tricky rotating this. But there you go. Spin that around, and then you can bring that forward, and then this will lock down. Bring these arms down like so. Straighten that out. Fold this piece out. And then I love this little piece. This is definitely a masterpiece kind of engineering bit. You got these little side pieces here that just tuck in and hide away. Super, super cool. Reach in here. Pull his head out. Fold that up. Take this whole top section. Fold this into the cavity you just created. Close that. Rotate these down. Take this section. Fold that back along the back section, and then bring his fists up, rotate those around on both sides, and when you're done, there you have a very cool, very animation accurate looking heroic member of the Autobots, Ironhide. But as great as he looked in his vehicle mode, in my opinion, he looks even better in his robot mode. This guy is fantastic looking and really does capture the look that he had in the, I mean, obviously the movie, but just in general, the G1 cartoon. It's all the way around. He's really very, very impressive. The way that they engineered the legs is super impressive and really does kind of show just how good they are from time to time. Now, by comparison, here is that Earthrise one, which is still a great figure, and you can see he is definitely taller than the new one is. But the fact that this is basically fully integrated into the design and transformation for him really does make this guy fall short, in my opinion, despite the fact that he is taller. Overall, the detail, though, is amazing. You got that very classic look with the very nice red color throughout him. He looks a little bit brighter on camera, I was noticing when I was editing, but he still looks really good nonetheless. You know what I am noticing here? that his legs have a tendency to want to kind of pull forward. So that's kind of a weird thing. It's like it kind of like just goes there. So let's fiddle with that a little bit and get him to actually kind of stand. I mean, it kind of looks like he wants to lean back a little bit. But the design on him is fantastic. The colors are all right. This is a very nice dark gray as opposed to the other one, which was black. The chest looks good with the blue coloring. The clear just really kind of looked off. But what I also really love is that they recreated his little front piece right here very nicely. I mean, again, G1 accurate. That is great. And the head sculpts are both really very well done. You can see that his has a very nice silver paint on the inside there with really nice blue for the eyes. I mean, just really a very, very impressive figure. Now, like I said, these guns, you definitely can use for them. I mean, I don't know. It looks a little bit more like ratchets, obviously. So I'm going to probably use this one. Yeah, that looks a little bit better for him. I mean, granted, again, it's not the gun that he used in the film, but I'm quite okay with it. First articulation, the head does seem like it's on a bit of a ball joint, but the way that his helmet is, you don't get a lot of range of motion, but you do get him looking up and down really good. That's kind of part of the transformation joint there, which allows him to look down at like, oh, look, I got shot. Or you can have him look at, no, such heroic nonsense. He's dead. And then you got the swivel here. You got a hinge going in and out. I also really like that filler gap section thing right there, which looks really good. Rotates at the upper part of the bicep on a mushroom joint. He does have a 90-degree bend at the elbow. Wrists do rotate, and then as kind of part of the transformation, also does kind of hinge. So if you had a sword, you could have him hold that. He does have waist swivel, which is good to see. The hips, this little skirt piece comes up. You can move forward and back, in and out rotation at the upper part of the thigh. Ankles do kind of move forward and back, but majority of it, you're just going to kind of want to use that hinge joint here. But it is interesting that there's like a spot right there where it kind of pulls the whole legs forward. That's certainly weird, I guess, but just kind of position that, get him standing. I mean, this is a great looking toy. I mean, really, and he fits so well in terms of, yeah, see, like, it just makes him want to lean forward. So you gotta have that is weird. That's certainly weird. Maybe do that and bend his knees. No, well, I guess that's okay. I mean, or because then he's gonna have his thighs going like that. So that is definitely a little weird. I don't know how they managed to do that. But the overall design and look of the figure is really impressive, considering this is what we had before. And again, this is a great toy. This is just so much better. For another Ironhide comparison, here is that Studio Series Bumblebee version of them, and I mean, really cool. I love the kind of changes between it. The updated look looks really cool, but the more modern one, super awesome. Now, to transform them back, again, it can get a little bit more tricky just because of all the panels that you got to line up with them. So first, we're going to open up his chest, pull this away, and fold this piece out. And then remember to untuck these little side pieces. Again, I love that little bit of engineering. Take the head, rotate that down and in, and then that's going to come up and just sit right there. Go ahead and detach this back piece, and then detach the waist section. Kind of move that back as far as you can to get that to clear. It does get tricky to do this. So once you get that clearance, rotate that all the way around, and then you can bring that back. That'll lock back down, and then you can bring this up, clip that in right there. Now this is a very similar sort of transformation to that Siege and Earthrise one, where you bring the arms back like that. But now you want to make sure you angle it where that little top is going to be the bottom of his forearm. So again, bring that around, hinge that in, lift that up. Those two bits are going to connect right there. But again, like I said, that creates part of the roof. So again, the engineering, amazing. Rotate the fists down, and then these will tuck down just like that. Kind of leave that like so. Bring this whole section up. That'll sit right there. Come to these legs. You want to fold this piece out. Swivel this around. Again, kind of bring that up there. Now this, once you get to a certain point, take this and fold this all the way back. Once you get it there, you can bring it all the way back. And then you'll be able to line this up with this side piece and tab that in. So now you kind of know how everything's going. Do that on this side as well. Fold this up, rotate that forward. Once you get to a certain point, it can go all the way over. Bring these legs up, keep these feet kind of there. And then this, you come around to the side, collapse that in, that locks in right there. You can bring the two legs together, and those are going to tab together through the middle. You can see those little posts that go through there. So once you have it like that, then take this, kind of lift that forward, and then this is going to come up, and you got a little slot and tab section right here that's going to lock that in. Squeeze those two bits together, and then hold them together, because you can see how just easily they want to pull apart from each other. So hold this, and then bring this down, and kind of wedge that in, and that kind of holds both of them together, but you can definitely see how it's still trying to pull apart, which is unfortunate, but it's not terribly ugly. Then take these little bits here. You want to lift these up like so. Bring the feet up. Lift this. Fold this. And then this is going to swivel in. And then one thing that I like, it automatically kind of shifts on this little swivel joint down there. So again, on this side, fold this out. Fold that piece out. Bring this whole thing up. Here you can kind of line these two back halves together. And then sandwich these together. They will lock in to place there. Make sure these stay out. And then this comes up. It's going to tab in along the side there. Bring this down. And this kind of, you have to push a little bit on that side to get that to go in. So again, push a little bit on the tire. Line that in, give that a good squeeze, and when you're done, there you're going to have Ironhide back in his vehicle mode. But as you can see, gorgeous car, color looks great. The only thing that's really missing would be that yellow stripe, but I understand why they didn't include it. And then obviously the little top section here not being able to sandwich together is probably the only real nitpicks that I have about it. Transformation, if you've done any of the other recent Ironhide figures, you kind of know what's going on with this guy. A lot of it is basically the same, with the exception of this back section. But I love what they did with it. Number one, a lot of people complained about the parts forming of the other one with the shield and the roof. And then, of course, people complained about the feet. This figure fixes all of those various complaints. And naturally, because there is a higher part count and engineering sort of thing going on with this guy, it makes sense that he's going to be at that Voyager price point, which I'm perfectly okay with. It makes absolute sense, especially when you talk about those little teeny tiny flaps that fold in. On a deluxe figure, they would not be there. So I am perfectly okay with it. But when you get to that robot mode, that part shines. All the way around, top to bottom, front to back, looks fantastic. Without it being a masterpiece figure, it basically does what the masterpiece one did. So again, using that term that so many of us use, this is absolutely a little miniature masterpiece. And having said that, I could not recommend this enough to you guys. So all that being said, if Ironhide is a figure that you would like to add to your collection, he is hitting various retail locations right now. So if you are looking for him, good luck and happy hunting. Or as always, you can do the real simple thing and go online to places like Big Bad Toy Store, Amazon, Hasbro Pulse, and even Entertainment Earth. For all of those, I'll put links right down there in the video description, where you can head on over there and check out availability on this guy, as well as the rest of the wide range of Transformer figures. Once again, I want to send a huge shout out to the folks at Hasbro for providing this figure for me to review for you. And as always, please remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you all so much for tuning in and watching and taking the time to be a kid.
coming.